Right, we're on. Welcome to the first episode of the unnamed fucking podcast because we couldn't decide a name. Well, not yet, anyway. And we're going to try and talk very level-headed football takes. So no extremes, two ends of the spectrum. Try and stay as level-headed as we can. You have a Real Madrid supporter in Mr. Ryan.
Sorry.
Enthusiasm. A Chelsea supporter in Mr. Rob.
Hello.
Bit better. And me, Liverpool supporter in Mr. Adam. Right,
You have to say hello.
I have said hello. This is why this is definitely not getting cut. We're leaving this as is. Fuck that.
You forgot to say hello.
He didn't wave.
You didn't do a wave. Yeah, thanks. Right. Well, I suppose now with Forest after beating Wolves 3-0, going joint second with Arsenal on 40 points apiece. What do we think with Arsenal in second place? Well, the whole weekend as a whole, not much really happened. Like no place has changed, bar maybe the relegation battle, and the league is getting quite boring.
I don't know. It's boring. I think it's getting interesting. I mean, it's the same thing like with the whole. I think Liverpool could potentially go through a rough patch. Now, this is where the first question is going to be asked. It gets interesting because even don't Liverpool play Forest next? I think in the league, isn't it? Forest and Brentford.
Play Forest, Brentford, and Arsenal, I think.
So like that gets Nottingham Forest at home against Liverpool, especially after the last display was like, will these bounce back? Will Forest keep it going? You know, it's
the main question being who we actually going to start as a right back. I don't think he's going to trust Trent to start again, especially if Bradley is fit. I don't think he'll trust Trent to start. Well, we've two cup matches before that. Accrington Stanley and the first leg, I think it's away to Tottenham. First leg over the weekend, so Cup and FA Cup week.
It'd be interesting to see, like, does Liverpool have any like really young right backs they could play, or will they be forced to play either like Trent or Bradley against Accrington Stanley, or will you have like a young lad from the academy they could throw in?
We do have youngsters in the academy, but I don't think he's going to. He might bring. We have a lot more youngsters in the style of like the midfield and forward attackers. We haven't got a lot of centre backs and just wing backs and right backs and left backs in general. But he might bring maybe someone and start Bradley and then have someone from the academy, maybe someone from the under 21 squad or the under 18 squad. I haven't seen too much about that, but
I think it'd be pretty telling if he starts Bradley, then maybe Trent starts the next Premier League game. But I mean, is there like, do you think there's a possibility he starts Trent against Accrington Stanley, maybe even to prove a point, or just to say you play this match and then Bradley's going to take over in the Premier League?
No, I think the cup matches Bradley to be used, and then I think Slot to prove a point is going to keep Trent for the Premier League because of the whole Real Madrid transfer and all that shit. I think he's going to prove a point and basically start him in the Premier League matches and sub on Bradley if we need him. Like, we do need him at the minute anyway when it comes to squad depth. But at the same time, if he puts in another performance like what he did against United over the weekend, then the writing could be on the wall for him because
like,
you have to
thinking
try.
back, we were talking about this after the match and we were saying, I've seen Trent put in them kind of performances before, maybe not to that level, but under Klopp, I remember a few times he was beaten and he just simply didn't, he just jogged, looked at a man going past him, and maybe the goal went in and he just like shrugged. And it happened a few times. And Klopp even come out in a post match. I think that this is when the journalists were on his back, and Klopp even said, he was basically the question was put to him. It was like, oh, do you think, Trent's a bad defender or blah, blah. But he was saying because you play him so high up the pitch and he presses, the ball gets played in behind. But he had to come out and defend him once or twice as well.
Yeah.
kind of publicly. But the way he played the other day, I think, I don't have the stats in front of you, but I think it could be 20 plus times he gave the ball away. I don't think he won a single. I believe we're talking about today. I don't think he won a single duel. Bradley come on the last 10 minutes and won 3. I believe it's something like that. It's
Yeah,
like
he got dispossessed 25 times, and there was 28 duels, and not one did he win. And then Bradley come on, and within 5 minutes, he won 2 duels and
you
nearly
know,
scored a goal.
like I'm just Chelsea had a player before. Who was it? I think it was Bakayoko, and he come on for Tuchel and he subbed him back off. He literally come on, but he looked like he was just not at that level at all. Like he
Yeah,
looked shell shocked. If you told me Trent, that was his first ever game for Liverpool, and he was a young lad, and maybe the manager made a mistake and brought him on, and the game was too much for him. Like when you see them stats, because like he was just lost. Like to say like I don't know what would be worth. Like if you say £100 million or £80 million player,
mm.
and he's put like to be dribbled, dispossessed, whatever, 25 times. Like he was actively targeted. Like I heard a few people saying Andy Robertson wasn't too bad. Andy Robertson wasn't tested
No,
because they all went down Trent's side, and Andy Robertson was tested, I think, once or twice, and he ended up, losing Ahmad for the goal. So, but the way Trent played, I don't think I've seen him play that bad ever before. I don't think.
he played as if he was injured, and that was his first game back, as if he was
Even at
rough.
that, like
But
to just not track back in that, it's very very unusual.
Yeah, he looked like he didn't kind of nearly care,
no,
in a sense,
I don't like,
of what was going on around him.
but you also think like if people are saying, oh, he's gone to Madrid, that's why. If you're going to Madrid, like if that's the case, like just go with in this. If he in his head is thinking of playing there, why would you put in a performance like that still? Because again, nothing is done, nothing's signed.
yeah,
You put in a performance like that, I like if you're Real Madrid, would you know second thoughts? This is all a hyperbole in case he actually does sign. And people are like, oh, Real Madrid's in his head, but surely he won't drop your level that much because, like, he's now out of contract in the summer.
yeah.
Like, if Real just pull away and he wants crazy money, like, not a lot of teams would sign that, I don't think. Because, like, Jesus, man, we can't afford. Like, you think about the teams that can afford that salary a week, like, it's very,
Very
very,
few.
very few. Like, even Chelsea won't touch anything like that now. Barcelona won't. Madrid, maybe, but I mean, Ryan, you know yourself. If he goes to Madrid and puts in a performance like that, he'll be eaten alive.
He would be persecuted.
You know, and that's why I don't really know if it's that. I just think maybe just a bad game, simple as.
He's had
But
many. It's not the first time we've seen Trent do this, but you can have a bad game, but he didn't even run. And
yeah,
one of the main players
yeah,
we always talk about is Rashford for United. He was a midfielder, or sorry, a forward player, so it wasn't as impactful. But he wouldn't track a ball going through midfield or from the back line to the midfield of the opposing team. He wouldn't track them. He just walk or jog, and he didn't look
there's
like he wanted to be there.
there's a few clips like that. Yeah, fewer
But
times he put in effort, but a few times I've seen that happen, and it always infuriates me because I'm thinking like you get to play football at that level, getting paid them wages, and especially when you're Rashford or Trent, you're playing for your team. You know what I mean? You
yeah,
came through the academy.
Yeah.
Like surely, you see people like Roy Keane and that, like they or even even Chelsea players like yeah, John Terry and stuff. Like they put the body on the line, getting knocked out. Like I remember John Terry. It was in the Champions League. I can't remember. He was like heading the ball out, and he got a kick in the face, and he was out cold.
Yeah.
But it's
mm.
like, but that's the level of. I know it sounds a bit too much, but what do you expect? But when you see players doing that, you know what I mean, like John Terry or other players, we use that as an example. And then you see maybe other players like Trent and that. It's like I can't justify not putting in an effort because there's young fans there that would die to wear that shirt.
you have
Like
that. But like even Kanate's back from a 2-month injury, and he looked fresher than Trent did.
Yeah.
He was tracking, he was defending, he was winning his aerial duels. Any balls he tried to take or any tackles, he won. And he was the one that was out for 2 months. If you nearly think that was vice versa, that Trent was the one that was injured and was out for 2 months, and this was his first match back.
Yeah, like even that's the thing when you even kind of say, oh, maybe he was tired. I think if you're tired, maybe you might be late to a challenge,
Mm.
or you mightn't be able to keep up. But it's like when you don't make an effort, like there's that one clip of, I think it's Fernandez going past him at the front. No, I think it's for the first goal.
Yeah.
Where he kind of looks at him and doesn't put in a challenge, and you're like, just get out to him, do something, move towards him. No,
He just walks alongside him.
just kind of just
Yeah.
walks, and the ball goes
Glides
over his
by him.
head, and he's like. But the most damning part of that clip, or the thing I kind of worry about the most, if I'm when the goal goes in, he doesn't seem to even react.
Doesn't even flinch.
He goes in like the player's already passed him. He turns to chase him, and turns to move towards him, and the ball goes in the net, and I think Martinez is celebrating, and you see Trent just like.
Van Dijk's trying to scream at him, but like he's just not listening.
Yeah.
He just turned away and looked to the middle of the pitch, waiting for the ball to go back for kickoff. Didn't care.
But like that's where I think, as you said, it's a bit boring. I don't think it's boring. I think it's getting very interesting now because you have so many different dynamics of. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but earlier on today, Salah put up a post on Instagram. Did you see that? No,
Of the three of them.
Of the three of them, I think they're standing over a free kick. So it's Salah and Trent over the free kick, and the only other player you can see in the back is Van Dijk, and it's an obvious. Them three players, them three playing for Liverpool out of contract in the summer, all in the same situation. And Salah post that. And the thing I find interesting is, might be kind of, a bit of head games and politics and stuff, but Monday Night Football today, it was Wolves and Forest. But what's his face? Jamie Carragher was kind of reacting to it.
Yeah.
And he started talking, and I just seen the clip went up on Twitter. It's only a minute long clip, just talking about the Instagram post. Now, within an hour, I think it's about like half an hour I've seen it, Mo Salah actually tweeted it, replied to the Sky Sports official clip, and he says, I think he said something like, at this point, I think you love me, or something like that. Or you can't stop talking about me.
Mm.
Now I'm thinking, I don't know if that's his agent on his phone, but they're so clued in. Like, remember, he left that message.
Yeah.
Like, Salah left that message, and then Sky Sports then reacted to it, and he's on it within half an hour responding. And I'm going, I don't know, I never seen Salah really use Twitter like that. I think that could be his agent, I'm not sure, but they're definitely playing a lot of games and that with the media, I think. And that's where things could get really interesting, especially if performances drop, because they're,
Well, if some hard games, bar the Accrington Stanley match, obviously a lot of players will be rested. But we do have a lot of hard games coming up.
that
And
Forest game is going to be very telling.
that Forest game will be a doozy. Because they already beat us once. And they were away in Anfield.
Yeah, at home, and I'm sure even the Forest, like, they themselves were going, do you know what? Not only is this a game for Liverpool, this is a game for Forest. Like, they're in the position Chelsea were in a few weeks ago, where it's like, oh, we win the title race. If they beat yous, I mean, again, as you said, like, that's nearly like a 6-point swing.
Yeah.
Like, they're moving towards you. Like, and, they're joint second place now with Arsenal. So that's a massive, massive game, especially for Forest. I know it's not looking likely to win the league, but I mean,
Not
it
like
can
to win
happen.
the league,
I mean,
but
Leicester won it before. Like, the way they played tonight, and they're playing brilliant.
And they actually have a decent squad.
Very good squad.
Like,
A very good squad.
They were judged heavily the last 2 seasons. You were like, oh, they're just buying fucking anyone and everyone just for the sake of it. It's kind of things are starting to prosper now. You can kind of see why they were buying them players and who they were buying.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
starting to pay off massively.
They got Hudson-Odoi from us for, I think it was something a steal. I think it was like 5 or 6 million. Like,
Alanga from United playing extremely well in his last 5 matches. I think he has something like 3 or 4 assists and a goal.
Yeah. And then Chris Wood is just after coming into himself. Like,
yeah,
crazy.
He's one of the most informed strikers in the league.
And the mad thing is, again, coming from as a Chelsea fan, the Chelsea owners also own Strasbourg.
Mm.
And Matt Sells was actually the Strasbourg goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And he wanted to leave, and I think they let him go. But I'm going, Jesus, like, he's probably one of the best keepers in the league this year.
On
He's
form, yeah.
unbelievable. Even I have him in my fancy team. I'm just farming, clean sheets off him. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Ola Ina as well, another Chelsea Academy product. But it's like they're absolutely brilliant. The whole team is just brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. But also, it's not to take away, going back to the Liverpool point, it's not to take away from what United did in that match. They come out swinging.
Oh no,
They
that's
threw everything in the
my main
kitchen sink
point
at that
was
match.
I genuinely thought United were the better team. I
They
was
deserved to
so
win it.
impressed with them. Yeah. Yeah, I think they did. Fernandez was unbelievable. Moinu and Ugarte was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, Ugarte impressed me that match a little bit.
Yeah.
But whether they keep it up, it's another thing, really.
That's the big
It's the key kind of
United could
factor on
fall
it, because
apart
it's the
and
same. It could be the same old thing of maybe they play well this game and they could be playing, I don't know, whoever next, and they could just capitulate. Same story.
like I know in this one we're kind of talking about a few different things, but you could do a full podcast just on the Man United saga.
Oh
Of
yeah.
like,
do a full Netflix documentary on the fucking United saga.
well, they probably will, but like as a United fan, you must be watching that game again, pulling your hair out, going, unbelievable performance. But the fact that that's coming from a team against probably like Liverpool at the moment, the most informed team in Europe,
Mm.
and you're pretty much going toe to toe with them and playing them like you're winning your duels, you're beating them. Like it played brilliantly, but then they're still like 15th in the league or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
You know, if they play again, they play like that every week. And I think Fernandez actually said it out loud. He was like, "Why can't we do this every week?" And it's like a very good question.
Mm.
You know, but
Mm.
do you have to kick on from this? They're in a bad situation. The fact that new manager come in, he didn't get a preseason. It's not his squad. The squad was struggling under Ten Hag again. The squad was kind of not well put together. They spent way too much for what they have. And I
They've had
think
their own
they
cost
didn't
cuts.
have a striker yesterday. That's the biggest problem. They still got 2 goals,
Yeah.
but they did not have a striker.
And
But I'll admit, Xerxes looked a little bit better than Hoyland when he came on.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Ever so
he
slightly
might have
better.
got a stern talking to, because again, he obviously walked away in his last match. He got hooked after 30 minutes against Newcastle at home,
yeah, that was.
and he started walking away. And I seen a lot of United veterans talking on Sky and Twitter and different podcasts and things like that, saying you simply don't do that, or else you never play for United again. So I'd say he was told come back, and he probably got a stern talking to, and he was like, "Look, there is a place for you here, but you have to earn it." And in that match, I think he did not earn it completely, but he was definitely much better than Highland when it came to the striking position.
What I think you could tell as well. People talked about the final cross. Like if he had a bit of confidence, I'm sure he takes that shot on himself.
Yeah,
I think he after coming on from last week, I think his confidence is in the bin. But
to be fair, I think if he squares I think it was the right call to square it. I think if anyone else is there, bar Maguire, that's a goal, and that's a 3-2 win to United.
yeah, I think it's a hard ball though. The way Xerxes kind of cuts it back, it kind of bobbles. So Maguire, like he's was he a centre back? So it's just it's hard to kind of get over and keep it down. But yeah, he should have. I mean, you scored that. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Oh,
Of course,
Jesus.
yeah, we would have heard that all season.
I just looked at it. United are 13th at the moment, 1 point behind Tottenham.
Okay,
They're level on points at West Ham.
that's we might not get to it in this one, but that's definitely another talking point: is the amount of injuries and that are just plaguing Tottenham Hotspur at the minute, and how bad they are, and will Ange Postecoglou be there next season?
I think style of play as a part of playing it. I've seen it last year as a Chelsea fan. This whole, just miles in the leg. The distance we were running last year, it was just kind of running, going, constant pressure, constant close down, like Gallagher and everything. But our injury last year was absolutely scandalous. Like Reece James couldn't, like, no chance, absolutely no chance.
Yeah.
This year, every team gets a few injuries. Now there's a few of them picking up, but it's mainly people who've been injured long term anyway. Like Fofana, he broke his leg, tore his ACL, and now this year I think he done his hamstring, but it's only going to be a couple of months to be back. But even you talk about Do you remember Bielsa at Leeds?
Mm.
He was the same. That kind of, what they call it, killer ball or something like that, or murder ball, I think they call it in training, where it was just constant running. And it sounds all good, this old fashioned way of run, but I just think it might be okay for a year, but then the second year, the third year, the legs just break down, man. And I think that's when injuries just skyrocket. You simply, no, you can't keep up. And Tottenham are known to play a high line,
Yeah.
constant pressing, the running in behind. It's a lot of running, hell of a lot of running, and I think that could maybe be contributing. Of course, I don't know, but that can happen. Style of play where you think about it. Like I always thought about Man City when they were playing, not that really kind of slow, kind of possession-based style of football.
Yeah.
They barely had any injuries. I feel like they were going season. You might have out because remember, I think it was like last year when Chelsea getting all the injuries and going, how is City getting no injuries, man? Like what is going on? But maybe it's something like that.
I think that could be down to as well how much of a job Rodri was doing in midfield.
Yeah, but like they weren't like everyone was so they weren't losing the ball and everyone was scrambling back. You know
No.
what I mean? They were so controlled and everything, and they just can't move forward. But there was no blistering runs back and forth. It was everything was everyone knew their place, and there was no crazy stress. But like the way Chelsea played last year, it was constant running, constant closing down, constant pressure. But I think there's just only so long you can do that for. It's
Not
just too much of the
sustainable.
legs. No, even under Klopp. Remember Klopp for the last couple of years, like maybe.
Whole style was nicknamed rock and roll football.
But it's that kind of like when you don't, it's like you're running. But maybe late on in the game, you could be tired. You could miss a challenge. You know what I mean? Because you're tired. You're diving in. Your knee gets twisted. Your ankle gets twisted.
Look, it's not to downplay what Klopp did for Liverpool. Like he kind of reimagined the club, but Slot is after taking over this season, and you can kind of see already we have nowhere near as many injuries at this stage of the season, and it's down to how we play. We're a lot more possession based now, and we're not closing down as much from the front three. It's a lot to do with the midfield and our centre backs.
Yeah,
and it's helped us massively. Like we have little to no injuries. I think the only injury we have now currently is Joe Gomez, who just has a hamstring strain and will be back in the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah. But, I think the league can be heating up. This is where it's going to get interesting. Like even the top four race, of course, the relegation battle as well gets really interesting. A lot.
Well, speaking of top four, and as mentioned at the start of this with Forest and aforementioned team Arsenal, let's talk about Arsenal quickly and just go over kind of how their season's going and maybe what is the end game for this season. Because me personally, as a Liverpool fan, I don't see them win the Premier League. They won't win the Champions League. They don't do well in Europe. They never really have. And the only thing I see them maybe picking up is either a Carabao or an FA Cup.
As it stands at the moment, they're level with points with Forest on. They're both on 40 each. So Liverpool are 6 ahead, and Liverpool have a game in hand.
Yeah.
Now Arsenal, they're after losing Saka for a couple of months,
And they
they're
lost
after losing Wanyeri for I think he said like a month at least, like a couple of weeks. He said it's a muscle injury.
Yeah.
So I think their attack is kind of slowing down anyway. Like the corners used to be a good thing for them. The whole like meme of they're scoring from corners and stuff like that. But I talked with this before, like kind of saying the scoring from corners. There's nothing wrong at all with scoring from corners, but I think what other teams and maybe pundits were criticising Arsenal was because the main output was nearly like, well, just get a corner and then we'll try and score from that. But the open play goals kind of settled down. You know what I mean? They really it was like if you like Liverpool or any free scoring team, if you can then add a corners on top of that, yeah, perfect. Like that's really dangerous. It's like you're always under the pressure. But when you're not really scoring from open play and you're sitting back and you're wasting time. I think they've got the most cards this league from wasting time wasting.
Yeah.
And even the other day they got a yellow card in the first half for time wasting. The man was taking a throw in against who are they playing?
They played Brighton.
Against Brighton. They were 1-0 up against Brighton and your man got booked for time wasting the first half.
Yeah.
It's it's a way of playing, and I think they're just trying to get by at the moment. But they're scoring a few more goals from open play, but you know,
They badly need a striker. Jesus
Yeah.
does a job,
Yeah.
but he's not the main man. And Kai Havertz, you'll
the
find it
same
very quick
thing.
on this new up and coming podcast that I don't like Kai Havertz at all. Not the player himself, but for what he is. People trying to bum him up, especially last season. Like, I'm sorry, he was basically fucking stat padding against trash teams, scoring a hat trick against, I don't know, who was the relegation side last season? Luton Town. Like, that's grand, but do it against a big team. No. Never does it against a big team.
Like, my thing with Kai Havertz is, as a Chelsea fan, I've watched him for years because I had to fucking support him for years. He does have genuine moments of brilliance, but for Chelsea, it was always few and far between.
Yeah.
There's seen a few goals where he take the ball out of the air and just flick it into the net so nonchalantly, and it was just always this thing of, right, now you've done it. Now you have your, like, this all, does he have confidence? Can he do it? And he might do it for a game or two in a row. And you're like, oh, the talent he possesses is crazy. And then he might just go back to himself, and it's like, oh, well, let's not play him as a striker anymore. Let's play him as a midfielder. No, that's not his best position. How do we figure out his best position? And even I think that's one of the first things Arteta said was, we'll get the best out of Havertz. His goals and assists have gone up and up, but you can kind of tell, looking at the eye test, he's not still doing, like, they still need a big name signing, maybe an
Yeah.
Oshiman or a Goyekers or somebody like someone to get them goals, because
Liam Delap.
I don't I don't know. I think they just need someone that's already established for that team, because they're not a building team anymore. They should be. They've been fighting against Newcastle, Man City for the last couple of years to win the league, and now City are gone this year. So now Arsenal all of a sudden are ahead of Liverpool are now ahead of them.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm sure Arsenal fans should be kicking themselves, going, "This is a massive opportunity to,
Grab the
go and
bull
win
by
the
the horns.
league." You know,
Yeah.
Well, you would have thought, but so far they just crumbled, and against teams that you wouldn't have thought, they've also lost it. Now,
but
obviously,
yeah,
you know,
just going to say, like, they're not completely out of it.
no,
Same with Forest, like, they're just, again, we've seen this thing with Liverpool, the draw. If all of these contract situations could heat up, there could be turmoil, there could be, but that's just all the questions that make it interesting. But there is teams there waiting to pounce. You know what I
definitely.
mean? So it's not just going to be clean sailing. So I'm not going to say Arsenal are out of the league just yet. But my problem is, I think the way they're playing, the time wasting that, I feel like they'll get more draws, they'll drop more points. That's my problem.
I think
I
I
can't
think
see
Liverpool
them.
will drop more points as well, but I think we will drop less than Arsenal because we can somewhat score from open play and obviously our set pieces.
Yeah.
But then I suppose that leads us kind of on to our final little topic. Is Arteta the man for the job?
For me, no one really knows, because he hasn't had a job before this as a football manager. And that's one thing I think people seem to forget, is he's learning on the job. This is his first job.
Yeah.
He's learning on he's just learning. He's doing unbelievable as his first job. But to me, I like to have a manager who's a bit older. Like, we've got Maresca now, so I'm expecting him to do the same thing. We started off well, but you can kind of tell he'll have a lot of bumps in the road, because you have to as a manager.
Yeah.
I mean, Pep Guardiola didn't just walk into Man City. He went through so many different clubs, and Mourinho and all these other managers. You don't, like, there's so much to learn. It's,
You don't walk
mind
into success.
melting. Well, you might do, but all the stuff you have to learn is just crazy. So this is his first job as a manager as Arsenal, but I think they've maybe messed up a few windows, not optimized a few windows.
Yeah.
I think last summer was, like, again, as a Chelsea fan, them taking Raheem Sterling off us. We couldn't get rid of Raheem Sterling, and we were looking to get rid of Ben Chilwell and Sterling because they're on crazy wages, and Maresca said not part of the team. This is the last day of the window, I believe. He was offered to Arsenal. Arsenal said yeah because it was Raheem didn't want to leave London. They said yes to him. They're paying a portion of his wages and they took him. But I'm thinking Arsenal are a team that again we talked for years. They've been neck and neck with Man City. They've been trying to beat them. They didn't know that Man City were going to fall off this year. On the
No.
very last day of the window, they take Raheem Sterling off us. I don't see to me that
Doesn't fill you with
come
confidence.
on. Doesn't where's the ambition?
Yeah.
Like surely if you're an Arsenal fan, you're going Raheem Sterling the last day of the window. I mean, it could be a good buy, but you'd rather have your signings the first couple of weeks. No, it's not always feasible, but
He's more or less just to shore up the squad as a squad player. He's not a starter nor your main signing.
a lot of Chelsea players could have told you this was going to happen, and this is what it is kind of a bit like the Arsenal project to a bit of a bump, and I think they need a couple of signings now to try and again smooth out the road going forward because it But again, you have a manager who's never managed before.
No.
So I mean, he's doing great for what
What
this
he has.
is his first job, yeah. But to win titles and that, he's got one FA Cup, but he hasn't won anything with his own squad.
No.
That's the thing.
What he's built, he hasn't won nor progressed to winning anything. He has got second, 2 years in a row, but nobody cares about who comes second. 10 years down the line. Nobody's going to say, oh yeah, Arsenal, how'd they do 20 years ago? Oh yeah, they came second twice. Who gives a shit? What did they win? Oh, diddly squat. Well, there's your answer then.
I feel like he should this year, concentrate on. Yeah, he's going to be looking to win the league still. Going to keep the pressure on Liverpool, but they're in some cup competitions. I believe they're in both. Get a cup, get an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup, and
something.
Are they in the Carabao Cup?
They are, yeah.
Yeah. Just go for it. I mean, get something in. I mean, settle and it's going. Yeah, this is what we do. You know what I mean? Spend money. We have a team now to compete on all fronts. So this is
But that's the
start
thing. They
flexing a
don't
little bit.
have a team to compete on all fronts.
Well, they
like
probably
Tottenham,
should.
Tottenham this season, from what I've seen from a lot of Tottenham fans, they're just a cup side this season. They don't care where they come in the league. They want to win a cup. That's kind of how I see Arsenal this season. I don't think they'll win the league. They'll not win the Champions League, so they're a cup side.
Keep saying they're not win the league. I'm looking at, I'm going, Liverpool are not out of sight. This is what I'm looking at the league right now. Honestly, the game in hand is very, because against Everton midweek, either Liverpool go into a bit of a slump, and I think that could happen. Honestly, I've said that since the beginning. I was like, Slot's doing brilliant, but we want to see how good he is. It's all about questions being answered. That's where everything gets interesting.
Yeah.
But this is where it could be the start of a slump. There could be other things like this, or players not playing in contracts and all this other outside nonsense. But this is how the manager has to manage all these situations. That's what I think being a manager is. So we'll see how good he is now. If he rides the storm or what happens. Because this is a situation, honestly, that you just this Man United game, for example, Trent had a bad performance and everyone's all Real Madrid, his head's not there. So that's a bit of a powder keg there. Salah, I think he had a very poor game, scored the penalty, so it's kind of glossed over. But then he's tweeting again the next day and he's putting out these messages and stuff like that about the trade and with contracts. And then Van Dijk as well. I thought he played brilliantly. It wasn't. I don't think the goals were his fault. It was kind of the players around him. He couldn't do much else. But he's also in his contract fiasco.
Yeah.
And I believe he was asked after the match about the contract being resolved, and he said, "No, we haven't been close to evaluation. I'm just concentrating on football." But you can't keep asking these questions after every match.
Yeah.
Because the way I see it is this whole Trent situation, he could have just had an off game. But now the problem is, people are assuming he's going to Real Madrid, and then he's under a microscope. So then the next time he plays, he knows all eyes are on him again. Will he make a mistake? Will he do this? Will he try this game? Is it because of Real Madrid? And I think that creates a different problem. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Or if Salah has 2 or 3 games without scoring, who's going to buy him? Is he off somewhere? Is he distracted? And it's no, he just had a bad patch. But because of these contract situations, I feel like it's creating this kind of powder keg in the, and because of three, if not what the most important players Liverpool right now, Van
Um,
Dijk, Salah, and Trent.
they're basically the backbone of the team. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. That's what I think. The end of the season is going to be very, very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Because wasn't it this time last year at the run in? This is where Liverpool fell off.
No, the last 5 games of the season we fell off.
Yeah.
But yeah, not far off anyway.
So I think it's going to get a lot closer. I think there's a lot more points we dropped by everyone. Chelsea, Forest, Arsenal, and Liverpool. So just whoever comes out on top at the end of that, it's going to be crazy.
Just hopefully it's not City again.
City at the moment, they're on 34 points with 20 games played. You're on 46 with 19. I think they'll just be happy to get top 4 and just get the season behind them and move on.
There's a good fight for it because Newcastle are still fighting for top 4 there as well. I think they're 5th now at the minute.
Yeah. So it's Newcastle in 5th on 35, Chelsea in 4th on 36, and then Forest, Arsenal on 40, and Liverpool on 46. So like Newcastle only 1 point behind us.
It's going to be a good fight. Same as the relegation battle. I think it'll be a good fight at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I think that could be the most interesting part of the season is the relegation battle, especially with a team like Wolves going down, which I think they will. I don't think they have enough in them to stay up.
At the moment, Southampton have 6 points. They're pretty much gone. I think. Leicester have 14 points and they're in 18th, but they've lost the last 5 games. Ipswich have 16 points, and then Wolves have 16 points. They're literally Ipswich are minus 15, Wolves are minus 14. That's the only thing separating them. Everton 17 points.
Yeah.
I know Leicester only 1 or 2 points behind Ipswich, but I just see Ipswich with the lap, and I just think there's a bit more about them, especially at home. That it could be either Wolves or Everton. Ipswich, Wolves, or Everton. I think they're the 3 spots. And there's rumours that Sean Dyche, I think, could be sacked and bring in somebody else, but I don't think that changes much.
No. When it comes to teams like that, I don't think it changes a whole heap. Same as like Gary O'Neill getting the sack for Wolves. I don't think that changed anything.
I thought that was a tough one because somebody explained it to me. I think I'd seen it on, I don't know if Sky Sports or I think he was explaining it himself, and he was saying basically he got 40 points whatever 1 year. This is roughly it. He got like 40 points 1 year in the Premier League. They then sold say 120 million worth of talent from Wolves. Basically didn't reinforce, and they were just told, right, get 40 points again in the Premier League. And he's like, how in the name of God am I supposed to do that? Like they lost Neto, they lost who was the midfielders? They lost a ton of players. And they were like, yeah, they basically said, look, survive again. And he's like, I can't do that.
Physically
Well, he tried his best. And VAR have given him such a bad hand. He got screwed over so many times, I think. So many times. But
that is the way you see.
They threw in a new manager, and it's like, right, you do it. It's like, what did he expect to happen? Same with like Southampton, they sacked the manager. I know he's playing out from the back and that type of crack, but it's like then you lose 5-0 to Brentford, but it's like they're going to struggle. Like
what the fuck do you expect?
Ipswich looked like there's something about them though. I'd fancy Ipswich.
I'd
give them the fighting chance.
They're kind of my dark horse to stay up. Just stay up. I think they'll do it. And I suppose we might as well finish on this topic to kind of just round it off. Kind of back to Trent, sadly. But Ryan, how do you feel if Trent does sign for your team for Real Madrid?
I wouldn't feel so confident in him. So much and so forth about the La Liga games, it's kind of neither here nor there because, like, Vasquez plays there, or because Carvajal's out, and Vasquez is prone to even mistakes, even in the Champions League. I think you're going to get much like for like with regards to it. Like Trent, of course, he's going to get much further up the pitch and create a lot more, but defensive wise, I worry about it considerably.
Yeah, because his main attributes are his ball playing ability and pass.
Yeah, like his defending isn't fantastic, and that's why I nearly prefer Carvajal playing Carvajal over him
Mm.
because he offers more defensive wise. And what Real Madrid are struggling at the moment is conceding goals.
Well, what age is Carvajal?
He's 30. He's 32.
Well, that could be the reason why you want to replace him, because he's kind of getting to the end of his lifespan with Real Madrid. Like, unlike, I'd say, suppose Modric and Toni Kroos, who went till, like, Kroos, what age was he when he left?
I think he was only 34.
Was he? Felt like
Yeah,
he was older,
Cruz. Yeah, but he's been there a long time. He's been there since 2014.
but unlike Carvajal, he didn't have to do as much running. He more or less
No.
controlled the passing from defence to midfield and then from midfield to the forwards. Other than that, he wasn't running up and down the pitch. Carvajal has to kind of do that because he's a bit more of a wing back.
Yeah, you need you need the legs when it comes to fullbacks now.
And that's where I think they want to buy Trent. Well, they'll
Yeah.
wait for him to come on a free because they don't want to spend over 20 million on him. Which, I'll be honest, I can't really argue with. Why
Blame
get
them?
him?
Like what? Like, yeah.
Why get him for 20, or why get him for like 50 million in January? You can just get him for free and just give him a sign on fee.
Yeah.
So we'll have to just wait and see on all that. But I suppose that'll wrap up the first episode and our podcast. By the time this goes out, we might have a name, or we'll have an argument anyway.
Potentially.
Potentially something. So thanks very much for listening, and that's it from me, Adam. Well done, lads. Jesus Christ. That's the, and you know what? And you know
I thought
what?
you were going to say the rest of our names.
No, I wasn't going to say the rest of your names. That was for
Oh my
you.
God.
And you know what? That's
Oh my
staying
God.
in as well. Best of
Oh
luck,
my
lads,
God.
and fucking lamp on. Good luck.
Oh,